All right, there's the scene down at the Laundrie House. You have some protesters that are continuing to show up by that little, there's the dirty laundries. And, you know, you've got artists, pictures, people step in. It's a high profile case. We get it. Some people, better call Bertolino instead of better call Saul. And some people take advantage of situations in these high profile cases and show up for whatever reason. Some people are legitimately protesting the actions of the people from inside that home. And I don't know what the motives are of these folks, but again, it puts the parents of Brian Laundrie kind of in the spotlight. And there was also reports over the weekend that he was mowing the lawn and tore down one of the protest signs that was at the memorial for Gabby Petito because it referenced his own daughter. So, you know, they kind of get thrust into all of it. But I think in this case, a little different because of the actions of the parents. And I think people are thinking about the initial reaction of the parents of Brian Laundrie to the disappearance of Gabby Petito. Before she was recovered, and this became a homicide investigation, there was a missing young woman whose parents were looking for her. And these parents obviously had some information, but sat on it and said nothing. And did not respond to the parents of Gabby Petito. And I think that's why a lot of people were angry with those parents. Now, flip it over. The parents of Gabby Petito have made a tearful plea for Brian Laundrie now to turn himself into authorities. He's the man on the run being sought for questioning in connection with Gabby's death and homicide. Nicole and Jim Schmidt told Australia's 60 Minutes they misjudged their daughter's fiancé.
Every time he would come over, he was polite. You know, he talked with our other children as well. You know, they got to know him and they liked him. So
draw them pictures and stuff. He would read books to my little one at night before bed. So he just seemed like a nice guy.
Gabby's mom and stepfather say they worried about Gabby's cross-country trip, but they thought that Brian Laundrie would keep her safe.
I worried. I told her to be careful, be safe, you know, make sure to be aware of your surroundings. You know, don't trust everybody. But I felt safe because she was with Brian, and I felt like she would be okay. I thought he would take care of her.
Brian Laundrie named in a federal arrest warrant that alleges he used Gabby's debit card. He's considered a person of interest, but has not been charged with her death. Let's bring back in our think tank. Still with us tonight, Lauren Zimmerman, Judge Gino Brogdon, and Sue Ann Robinson. Sue Ann, I look at this and I think of broken trust. The parents thought that he was a good guy. You know, there were no indications otherwise. This is like a classic setup that you see in every Lifetime movie, Sue Ann. You know, the boyfriend is just like the greatest guy in the world. He does everything, puts on the show in front of the parents. And then we saw what happened on the side of the road in Utah.
Right, absolutely. And you know what? The parents are now searching for answers in every single interaction they ever had with Brian, in every single thing he ever said, in anything their daughter ever said about him, probably in her social media posts, just combing everything to see, were there signs? Could there have been something they could have done to stop this? And that's a very hard place to be in your grieving process. They are almost trying to find a way to kind of say, you know, did we do something wrong here? And that's just a tough spot to be in for parents or for anyone who's lost someone close to them, especially in a situation where there's still answers out there. Justice has not been served. They cannot find Brian Laundrie. So right now their focus is on finding him, obviously. And as you said, they made a plea to him on 60 Minutes in Australia. But, you know, a lot of the focus and the energy is on the Laundries, on the parents, because everyone feels like they must have had some information to retain an attorney for their son at such an early stage.
Judge Gino Brogdon, is there any way legally to compel the parents to give a statement and to answer questions?
No, I mean, the parents will look good to cooperate in every way that they can. They're going to be under intense scrutiny. Now, the police, the authorities will want to talk to them and hope that they get the full cooperation, but the parents aren't under some legal obligation that's bigger than anyone else who either knows or is related to the person of interest. Now, the parents are under a lot of pressure here because folks say, well, if no one knows where your boy is, you know where he is. If no one knows what your boy was thinking, you know what your boy was thinking. And the brutal clarity of hindsight will haunt these parents. And not only Gabby's parents, but the Laundrie parents, because everybody's looking back on this saying, didn't I see something? Wasn't there something that should have stood out to me? And it's just a painful retrovision for everyone, particularly both sets of parents.
Lawrence Zimmerman, we go back to the beginning that it seems that you can make the logical deduction that there was some conversation between Brian Laundrie and his parents that compelled them to get an attorney. That conversation, to me, potentially, no idea if it even happened or what was said, but potentially sounds like it could be some admission to something. Okay? Is there any way that conversation somewhere down the road could be evidence in a trial?
Well, right. I mean, I guess we're really speculating what the conversation could have been about, but the fact that they got
a conversation that somehow indicates that he needed a lawyer, right? I mean, something was said, something had to have been said for them to go and say, yeah, let's call a lawyer. But is a conversation between a parent and a child that results in the hiring of an attorney, is that a privileged conversation? Is there some protection for that conversation, or is that something that could potentially be used in a court of law?
Well, there's no privilege between a parent and a child when it comes to like attorney-client privilege. So whatever their conversation was would be admissible in court, and potentially the fact that they hired a lawyer for him. I mean, clearly, we've talked about this before. Yes, logically, I mean, he's the only suspect. It makes sense. I mean, she went away with him. He's like, if the mom's talking about she was worried about other people, he ends up being the wolf inside the hen house, presumably. So, we don't know the parents know. That's the problem. Who knows what he told them? Maybe he lied to them, and so we keep hearing about whether parents should be charged with obstruction. I think if the police had something to charge their parents with, I'm pretty confident they would have done that by now, because that would have given them some leverage on the parents and then find out where this kid is located at. They'd have already done it. They must not have enough to get a warrant. And remember, it's only probable cause they need to get a warrant for someone's arrest.
And again, at this point, no one has been charged. No one has been named a suspect. We're just looking at this investigation and all the legal issues potentially associated with it. Legal think tank staying with us, still ahead.